Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. On today's program, we will get to check in with Pat Ronan from Father Bill's in Mainspring. They're getting ready for their annual Thanksgiving community dinner next week, and a lot more happening too. First, though, we check out the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, sunshine out there, a few high thin clouds. It's 43 degrees, going to be a brisk and breezy afternoon again with temperatures only in the mid 40s, that wind making it feel a lot colder. Down to about 30 degrees under clear skies this evening, and a mostly dry but chilly weekend tomorrow. More sunshine and not quite as windy. Highs tomorrow into the mid 40s. The wind kicks up big time on Sunday. It'll make it feel like it's in the 20s when you're out at Gillette Stadium, with the high only 40 degrees. Partly cloudy and in the low 40s here on Monday. Maybe a midweek warm up next week, but not until then. Right now, 43 degrees in Quincy. Checking news for you today. A man is being held without bail after pleading not guilty to kidnapping and raping a 64-year-old woman from the Wollaston MBTA station last Saturday. 26-year-old Christian Lynch, who was captain of the men's basketball team at Eastern Nazarene College back in 2016, now charged with grabbing the woman in the parking lot early last Saturday morning, forcing her into the back of a car, tying her up, and repeatedly raping her in his nearby apartment before dumping her off at the Westgate Mall in Brockton last Saturday night. A passerby called 911. The woman was taken to Good Samaritan Medical Center. Lynch was arrested last Sunday after police identified his car from surveillance video at the T station. He was arraigned Monday in Quincy District Court and is being held without bail for a dangerousness hearing next Wednesday. Lynch was also arrested on October 20th for allegedly exposing himself at Squaw Rock in Quincy. Well, there are many questions about a plan for the city of Quincy to lease the 242 acres of land containing the Granite Links Golf Club in West Quincy to Quarry Hills Associates for the next 99 years. During a public meeting of the City Council's Ordinance Committee earlier this week, many residents expressed concerns about future development at that site and the current traffic and parking conditions. Spokesperson for Mayor Thomas Koch, Chris Walker, says regardless of what happens with the lease proposal, those problems will be addressed.
Parking is one under current conditions that the folks from Granite Links know they need to address that immediately in the near term. The new lease provide our partners with the stability of site control they need to make near-term investments, but also creates the potential for longer-term growth. And again, if Granite Links increases its revenue, the city increases its revenue. If Granite Links succeeds, the city succeeds. So it behooves us to provide them the tools they need. The city is well aware, and I think everyone in this audience tonight and members of this body have been there, well aware that the access point to Quarry Hills via Furnace Brook Parkway and Willard Street and Raschuti Drive needs to be addressed. That is a current condition issue that needs to be addressed regardless of anything that happens in the future. We understand that bottleneck. It's been like that for some time as the popularity of the ball fields, as the popularity of the golf course, as the popularity of the function facility has grown. So too has the issue at that crossing. We know it's an issue. We've discussed with Mass DOT how to fix that issue. They're currently in the design phase of a major improvement to that crossing that will address the immediate need. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the only thing that can needs to happen. If long-term, if there are any other matters going forward up at the golf course. But that issue is, we are on the tip list. We expect to have DOT ready for public discussion of a plan for that design in the very near future.
Other residents said they wanted Quarry Hills to provide better trail access to the Blue Hills Reservation. Still others wanted Quarry Hills to better maintain the baseball and soccer fields on the property. The matter remains in the Ordinance Committee. The chairman, Councilor Dave McCarthy, is promising a field trip to the site soon and future public input into the proposal before a vote is taken. Now, nomination papers are now available for candidates who want to run in that special election to fill the Ward 4 City Council seat in Quincy. City Council this week did set the special election after former Councilor Brian Palmucci resigned to become a district court judge. City Council President Noel DeBona says that he is handling Ward 4 issues until a new councilor is elected.
We'll look forward to having that. And over the next few months, we'll have a vacancy there. We'll be one less counselor up at the city council, but I'll be taking duties, which I've been doing for the last few weeks, which has been definitely an educational experience because it's very different than at large. And a lot of people say, well, you guys get the same. No, it's a very, very different position because the ward council that represents that particular area does the neighborhood meetings. At larges don't do that. We don't set up those type of neighborhood meetings and
10 seconds.
vetting processes in there. So it's a little different, and I like it. It's very different, but I've been able to represent a lot of different stuff in Ward 4 over the last few weeks.
A preliminary election, if needed, would be held on January 17th with the final election on February 7th. The winner will serve out the remainder of the term through the end of 2023 and can then run for the full 2-year term in next fall's city election. Nomination papers with the signatures of 50 Ward 4 voters are due in the city clerk's office by December 13th. Matthew Lyons, Joel Bonaventura, and James Devon had taken out nomination papers earlier this week. Well, there is a new home in Quincy Center for homeless and disabled veterans. The Thomas Kiley building was dedicated last weekend at the corner of Washington and Temple Streets. Developer Leo Martin renovated the existing building by adding 2 more floors, creating a total of 48 units of veterans housing. The building was dedicated to North Quincy High School and Harvard and BU School of Law graduate, local attorney, Vietnam veteran Thomas Kiley, who reminded people about the trauma that many veterans face every day.
Planes fly over at Gillette when everybody else is cheering. I have the shivers when certain helicopter blades go by. I can't think that somehow war is glorious. I can't think that there aren't better ways to resolve things than battle. The other time I had difficulty emotionally arguing a case was at the Quincy Housing Authority, where I was advocating for a North Quincy High class of '64 classmate, Vietnam veteran, who had troubles. And the association, the Quincy Housing Authority, was holding hearings to remove him. And I remember being at that table with him and saying, not in my city, not in my city. I may not be a military man, but I know that veterans are due honor. I owe my life to veterans, not just because my father wouldn't have been there and I wouldn't have been there if he hadn't been treated after he was gunshot in Okinawa, but every person that treated me after I got shot is now a veteran. Everybody who has succeeded, meaning got out of wartime alive, and therefore is a veteran, sacrificed time, sacrificed parts of their bodies. Every one of them sacrificed.
10 seconds.
Every one of them is due a place of honor at our tables, in our homes, in our communities.
Kiley was shot and critically wounded during combat in the Mekong Delta. He successfully argued before the U.S. Supreme Court to give veterans hiring preferences for civil service jobs in Massachusetts. Now, the existing 16 apartments at that building were renovated. 32 new apartments were added for veterans who participate in the HUD Veteran Supportive Housing Program. The Quincy Affordable Housing Trust contributed $3.2 million toward the project. Well, there's a new director of community affairs at the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office. Michael Ramos has been hired by Sheriff Pat McDermott to oversee the department's outreach efforts. Ramos has worked in the Bristol County Sheriff's Office and most recently served as the Fatherhood Initiative Coordinator for the state through Children's Trust. Ramos has also conducted trainings for the Department of Justice and has managed Nurturing Fathers programs at several houses of corrections. Ramos is a father of 4 and lives in Fall River. That is our check of news. Coming up, we sit down with Pat Ronan from Father Bill's in Mainspring. That's next. Welcome back. Last time we talked to Pat Ronan from Father Bill's in Mainspring, it was on a little computer screen. So we brought him in studio here to give us an update on Father Bill's Mainspring and the Yawkey Housing Resource Center construction over on Broad Street. Good to see you in person, Pat.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I've been on the show here several times, always remotely.
Yes.
So this is...
Is this the first in-person appearance?
Yeah. Back in my old Patriot Ledger days, I used to come in and do stuff with you, but this...
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Yeah, behind the scenes. But for Father Bill's, this is my first in-person interview.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's hope it's
yeah,
not
the
the
lights
last.
are bright. Yeah.
They are indeed. Yes, and they're unforgiving, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I'm doing well. I mean, it's a really busy season.
Yeah.
With the holidays coming and the cold weather coming, as you were talking about in the weather update.
Thankfully, we're not Buffalo, New York, at least right now, because
No.
they're measuring it in feet out there.
I heard about
Yeah.
that. To move a football game in Buffalo, there must be a lot of snow.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, we're seeing the demand increase for our services, and I know we'll get into it a little bit later, but we're seeing it too with our Thanksgiving meal, the increase in need for the meals.
Yes, which is back full 100% this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great, because it was not held in 2020 at all, right?
Correct.
Limited last year, is that right?
It was limited, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this year you are back.
We are back,
Yeah.
so we're hoping to, people can obviously still mask, and we're gonna make sure that we're spaced out a little bit, but in terms of anyone who we're promoting the meal, and anyone who needs one can come and have one. So I don't know if you want to get into that now or a little
Yeah,
bit
why don't we,
later.
since we brought it up,
Okay.
let's talk about it. It's on Thanksgiving Day, right?
Yes.
And it's at the same place that it has been in many, many years, Christ Church, right, Quincy Center.
Yep. So for over 30 years, we've had the community dinner at Christ Church in Quincy, and like you said, in 2020 we didn't have the in-person. We went strictly meal delivery.
Right.
Last year we did sort of a in-between where we allowed some smaller seatings and then continue with the meal delivery. This year we're going to be doing both. We're going to be doing the expanded meal delivery and the in-person meal. It takes place on Thanksgiving Day from 12 to 2 p.m. Anyone in the community is welcome. It's not just for anyone who's at our shelter, or it's for anyone who is looking for companionship, fellowship on the holiday. Maybe they can't see their family or friends that day. Maybe they don't have the resources to make their own Thanksgiving dinner. Please join us. I would note that our last seating that we're aiming for is it's starting at 1:30ish. That way, people can sit together and we can try to wrap it up at about 2. So anyone who's watching, if you could try to make it by 1:30, that way we can have the group setting with
Okay.
everyone together.
All right, so it starts at noon. How many seatings do you think? So you're thinking half hour seatings?
Yeah, about every half hour. Certainly if people come in, when there's a seat empty, we'll
Oh, sure.
we'll cycle.
Yeah.
But just that way, if everyone can come by 1:30, that way, I think in the past someone would come in right before 2 and they're eating alone,
Yeah.
and we want it to be a community gathering.
Okay.
So.
You mentioned increase in need. Do you have any idea about how many folks you might be serving this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, in Quincy alone, I think we're seeing an increase from the housing authorities requesting meal deliveries in Weymouth and in Quincy, and also with the amount of meal delivery requests from people out in the community. We are preparing to provide 1,500 meals between Brockton and Quincy,
Wow.
which is about a 20% increase from last year. And then on top of that, we're seeing with inflation, the costs of at Thanksgiving, all the fixings has gone up about 20%.
Sure.
So I didn't mean to bring math here, but I can't do the math there, but it's a lot more need and a lot more cost. So we really are relying on our community to step up and try to help us cover the costs, because we cater the meal.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Where does the food come from? Who prepares it? How does it get to where it's going to?
So we work with a caterer, a local caterer, and we've been doing this since 2020. And so we have a Thanksgiving fund that you can access on our website,
Okay.
helpfbms.org, and the pop-up comes right there for our Thanksgiving fund. And so we are committed to buying as many meals as are needed to feed anyone who comes to us. But obviously, this is an added expense for us, and we have a lot of different things going on right now in terms of our shelters and housing programs. So whatever the community can do to support us through the Thanksgiving Fund will go a long way in making sure that we can direct our normal operation costs to the nightly shelter.
Okay. So are you having a community dinner in Brockton also? You
Yes. Yep. At our Mainspring House shelter.
Oh, okay.
Same thing. It's anyone who's in need can come. Same time, 12 to 2 p.m. And then doing the delivery to the housing units. We operate housing in Quincy and Brockton, so we'll be delivering meals as well.
Who are your volunteers, Pat? Who are the folks that are making this magic all happen?
Well, we have a loyal group of volunteers
Yeah.
who've been coming to our meal for years, you know, and so it's always tough because people reach out like we're getting requests this week. Oh, my family would like to volunteer on Thanksgiving. Can we come serve? And unfortunately, we're pretty much at capacity,
Okay.
and we have been for a while
Well, it's
now.
a good and bad thing, right?
It is. So we try to let people know we do need volunteers in meal service throughout the year beyond Thanksgiving. So we direct them to our website and our volunteer services coordinator and say, hey, the week after Thanksgiving we'll be needing volunteers as well.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, Jennifer White over at Harbor One Bank is going to be there in Quincy this year. I know she's helped out in Brockton in past years. She's a member of our board of directors and leads the Harbor One Bank Foundation. So we're really excited she'll be joining us. So it's really a mixture of some of our longtime volunteers and, you know, sometimes people bring their kids and, you know, it's a good opportunity for young people to see that, you know, a lot of the things we take for granted around the holiday season, just something as simple as getting a meal and spending time with people.
Yeah. How do the deliveries happen? It's too late to request a delivered meal right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we were asking for requests through this past Monday
Yep.
just so we could start to come up with delivery routes.
Sure. Yeah.
And those are all volunteers as well. We have
Okay.
a great group of volunteers, some of our longtime volunteers. So they come. It's usually a family affair. They'll come with their kids. People brought their dogs.
The minivans and the SUVs, right?
Yeah,
Load
which
them up?
we need
Yeah.
the space because we give them a big old box
Yeah.
of prepackaged Thanksgiving meals. And so they go out, and our volunteer service coordinator, Marianne Mendez, and our team, they do a great job basically coming out with different routes for each volunteer to say, hey, here are 5 homes that need meals.
Okay.
Or we also deliver to the Quincy Housing Authority and the Weymouth Housing Authority.
Okay.
So.
All right, so it's going to be a busy day for volunteers and staff at Father Bill's, right?
It is, and it's for me. I've been at the agency for coming up on 6 years, and Thanksgiving is always one of the most powerful, humbling days because you see not only the need in the community. It's a reminder just how people are struggling, and you know how important it is to be there as an agency and as a community to let people know that they're not alone. But also to see the community in action, to see our volunteers, the smile on their faces. They really, and you can see how much they get out of it too. So it's really a celebration of community. Besides the provider of the meal, it's
Right.
really a chance to come together and celebrate our community.
Sure. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the Yawkey Housing Resource Center. Myself and my colleague John Caleri were privileged to have a great tour not too long ago of the construction site. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for coming. You know, it's as you saw, we're getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a frame now, and it's pretty incredible to see the renderings, which we have been looking at for so long, and to see them finally start to come together into a real building has been
Right. A couple of pictures we want to show folks. These were taken just recently?
Yeah. Just yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been great to see it come together. So we're on pace to complete the first phase, which is the Housing Resource Center. Bill, you're looking at it now. So that's actually on the left. You'll see that's our Housing Resource Center. That'll be the day center, and the emergency shelter, our healthcare clinic, meeting space. And then on the right there is phase 2, and that's our permanent supportive housing. So there'll be 30 units of housing for formerly homeless individuals. So that's, the Yawkey Housing Resource Center. We're thrilled to see it coming together. And, you know, the support from the community has been amazing. Locally, South Shore Bank recently committed $100,000 toward the project. They're a longtime supporter, and for them to step up and really invest in our mission and our bold vision means a lot to us.
Yeah, I want to show a picture of Jim Dunphy from South Shore Bank that was helping out at your Brockton shelter not too long ago, right?
Yeah.
So they are? Yeah.
Yep. There's Jim and his team, and Bob DiGiovanni, who's a member of our board of directors. They came. Not only do they invest in our big projects, but they also are on the front lines supporting our services. So volunteering in our kitchens, and the team from South Shore Bank recently came by Mainspring House to prepare and serve meals in the kitchen. So.
Nice.
We're very fortunate to have them as a partner, and they're one of many local groups. Quincy Mutual Group, Arbella Insurance Foundation, Eastern Bank, Rockland Trust, Blue Hills Charitable Foundation, the Flatley Foundation have all stepped up for the Yawkey Housing Resource Center. But also they typically have volunteers come in as well.
Sure,
So
yeah.
really some of the immediate day-to-day needs they help us address, and then some of the bigger long-term plans.
Yeah, while you're embarking on this really new model for combating and ending homelessness, you still have the day-to-day operations to deal with, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
which, as I mentioned earlier, with the need for the Thanksgiving meals, the need for our services is really increasing as well. We're seeing a real influx in the need for shelter. The economy is really pushing people to the brink. People who've never experienced this homelessness before are coming to our doors. So, like you said, while we're trying to embark on some of these long-term goals, it's still on us to meet the immediate day-to-day need.
Right.
And yeah.
The new resource center still on track to open next spring?
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll be there, and
Yes.
and we'll have a ribbon cutting, and it's going to be a great day. So that'll be phase one, the day center,
Okay.
and the shelter itself. So we'll transition the guests from Father Bill's place in our satellite shelter at the Ramada Inn. We'll move to the new resource center.
Okay. What's the current Broad Street shelter being used for, Pat, or is it being used?
It is being used,
Okay.
yes. So we're still operating the emergency
you are?
overnight
Okay.
shelter at 38 Broad Street. We're still, in addition to a satellite shelter at the Ramada Inn across the bridge in Dorchester, we've been using that throughout the pandemic as a place so we can still socially distance.
Correct.
I mean, the pandemic for many of us, maybe it feels like have emerged, but it's still flu season, and the COVID is still out there, and we serve a very vulnerable population. Almost half of our guests are over the age of 50. A third of the guests are considered elders. So
Okay.
we're really talking about an immunocompromised population. So we were committed to providing the social distancing until we were able to open the new resource center.
Okay. All right. So that is still what will happen, on the opening day, I guess, if you will. Is there a plan to kind of have everybody march across the street into the new shelter?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of brings to mind, I remember when they opened the new Central in
Yes.
Quincy.
Kids
and they
paraded down the street from the old one. Yes.
I don't think it would be a shorter walk.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm not sure what we have planned in terms of moving. It could
Okay.
just be,
It'll be a
staggered
soft
through it.
opening.
I'd say it's going to be a little more soft. We
Okay.
probably won't do the parade across the street, but it will be a special moment, though, especially for our guests. We've been operating out of this former RMV building.
Well, right. Yeah.
To be able to have this brand new facility, state of the art, and really, be able to kind of move toward this new model where we're not just providing the bed and the meal, but the prevention services during the day to help people get housed.
Yeah, I don't think it can be overstated enough, the bold statement of that the mission is to end homelessness in southeastern Massachusetts. I mean, that is a pretty monumental task.
Yeah, it is, because, ending someone's homelessness is it's not as simple as, here's an apartment.
Right.
A lot of the people we serve are, dealing with other issues that have contributed to their homelessness.
Exactly. Yep.
Whether it's a domestic situation or a behavioral health situation. So that's why we're so proud that as an agency we operate over 700 permanent supportive housing units across the region, because ultimately we feel like the way to end homelessness is to help those who are, who we consider the chronically homeless, those who are our long stayers who have a harder time finding stable housing.
Yeah,
And that's through supportive housing. So we have case managers help them, you know, pay their bills, and if they're looking for work, or if it's a veteran who's looking how to sign up for benefits, we'll help them with that.
it's a holistic approach, and it's
Exactly.
a root cause solution. Yeah. Holidays are fast approaching. You have a big holiday wish list on your website. I'd encourage folks to go to make donations. All the usuals. Gift cards are always great. I know.
Yep.
Winter weather gear. Cash donations, certainly. Prepared meals, no canned goods, I noticed, right? No canned goods?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we do plenty of food pantries and providers in the
Okay.
area that will accept the canned goods, and we'll do the prepared meals. But yeah, we're really our highest need is we always ask cash donations.
Okay.
Gift cards give us the most flexibility.
Yep.
There's a family in our programs. A gift card gives them the ability to use it, like if they need to go grocery shopping or get gas.
Right. It's more flexible.
More flexible, exactly. So, and then in terms of in-kind, a lot of people ask, where we want to hold a drive for your mission, what do you need? This time of year, it's hand warmers, feet warmers, thermals, sweatshirts, boots.
Think of what you
Glass.
need, and those people need it too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we all, when we leave the door in the morning and go to work or school, what
Yeah.
are we wearing? Like a lot of the guests who come to us don't have those items. So
Good to see you, Pat.
it's, wow, time flies.
Time
It's-
flies. Thank you very much, and we'll have you back too.
Yeah, thank you so
happy
much.
Thanksgiving.
You too. Appreciate this opportunity.
We will need all of the winter weather gear because it's going to stay cold around here for the next few days. Rested today, temperatures only in the mid-40s. Kind of the same over the weekend. The wind has got a bit of a bite to it, especially on Sunday. A little bit of a warm-up toward the middle of next week. Thanks again to Pat Ronan for joining us from Father Bill's in Mainspring. Thank you to our crew. Thank you for watching. Monday here in the show, have some fun with the members of the Wollaston Garden Club. Hope you can join us. Check out our website anytime, qatv.org. Our latest programs are there, news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great weekend.